We're exploring the wildest places in the UK in Helga, our vintage campervan, and we've just arrived on the Isle of Skye in Scotland. Join us as we hike the Black Cuillins, search for hidden gems, and experience torrential rain. I don't know if it was a sign of weather to come, but we followed the rainbow and crossed the bridge over to the Isle of Skye. We spent our first few days exploring the classic sites, including Quorang, which is where a huge landslip happened and created this amazing scenery. The weather was due to turn pretty appalling, so we decided to park up in a really nice camp spot and get comfortable for a few days. This is what the process looks like when we're trying to park flat. Oh, it's not too bad. Oh yeah. Forward. Craig kept busy with some wood carving projects, and then the heavy rain came. The weather was changing every 10 minutes, so suddenly the sun was back out. And with that came rainbows, and this was one of the most intense ones we've ever seen. Then we left the inland area of the island and headed to the coast. This little spot we parked up in had a castle view outside our back window. And we were treated to a lovely sunset when some rain was passing through and all the clouds began to glow. We eventually decided to brave the bad weather and head out for a hike. Our first one was to the very popular ferry pools, where we had to cross a raging river to actually get to the start of the trail. The ground was a muddy mess, and I can't imagine travelling around Scotland without any other shoe than a Wellington boot. The next day we conquered our first Black Cuillin mountain. They get this black colour from the remains of a magma chamber from a huge volcano. The terrain is extremely rugged, and we didn't meet many people up here. This mountain is said to be one of the easiest Cuillins to hike. It's 958 metres and doesn't involve any scrambling, but the route isn't very clear at times, especially in foggy weather, so you need to have good map reading skills. The weather was pretty naff until we began to make our way back down, and the sun actually came out. The next mountain we hiked was the highest point on the Isle of Skye at 992 metres. The route had a pretty challenging section up an almost vertical area of scoria. It was only 800 metres distance but 400 metres elevation gain. So we were just slipping down constantly, and there were rocks tumbling down the mountain towards us. We'd been hiking through thick cloud the whole way up, but thankfully it all cleared when we reached the top. This was probably the sketchiest part of the hike, where we had to scramble around this edge and there was just a sheer drop to our left. And this is what the scoria slope looked like on our way back down. We basically skied our way down the slope.
And the downhill ski walk goes to
We took it pretty easy for the rest of our time in the Isle of Skye and enjoyed some scenic drives. And for one last adventure, I discovered there was a cave we could go and visit, but we had to walk through the sea to get there. You can only visit at low tide, and the water was already above our knees when we did it. But this is what it looked like inside the caves. It was absolutely incredible, and to be honest, I hate caves, but this one was pretty damn cool. Without our torches, it was completely pitch black in there. But the flash from my camera really shows how white the walls are, and there was this crystal clear turquoise pool at the end. When we made our way back down, we could hear some people entering the cave and thought it'd be hilarious to turn our lights out and just wait there in the pitch black. But they took forever to get to us, and I think it was way scary for us just waiting there in the darkness. So we aborted the prank, turned our lights back on and walked out as if we weren't planning anything. After spending the morning hiking the mountains behind Helga and being in thick cloud and rain, the sun finally came out afterwards. But that just sums up the weather in Scotland, and now it's time for us to leave Skye and head to the mainland.